The Detroit Pistons open up their season against the Orlando Magic on Wednesday, which means in today's episode, I'm going to be giving you guys my final expectations and predictions for the Pistons season. No more going back. The season's right around the corner. I have to give you guys my final predictions on the season. We'll talk about those in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 5,000 subscribers before the start of the new year. Or you can leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And before we dive into today's episode, we have to talk about last episode's question and reveal who, or shout out the listener who got this question correct. This one we're shouting out is from a Twitter DM I got from Javier Rodriguez. The answer, of course, was Dick Vitale. So for this episode's question, again, if you want, send your answer in, comment down below or tweet at me somewhere. This one's a really funny one, man. When this happened, this was a wild time in like the world. This was crazy as hell that this happened. But the question is, what former Pistons bad boy led a controversial trip to North Korea to play basketball for dictator Kim Jong-un in 2013? This is probably a relatively easy one, but like I had to ask this one because I saw this and I was like, dude, this was such a wild ass time. I that was just crazy as hell that even happened. Like, what the hell was going on, bro? But yeah, send me the answer to that in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kukio. Anyways, in today's episode, I'm going to be giving you guys my final predictions and expectations for the Pistons season. There's no more going back. I can't come back tomorrow with a new prediction or fall back or anything or kind of say something and not actually make the prediction. No, we're finalizing everything today because the Pistons play the Orlando Magic on Wednesday. That's when their season starts. I have to finalize everything right here, right now. So I have 7 written down. I might think of another one as we start talking because I usually do come up with stuff as I talk. But we have 7 right here that I have written down. The first one is Cade finishes as a borderline all-star this season. I don't think Cade Cunningham makes the all-star team this year for one reason and one reason only, because I don't think the Pistons are going to be a very good NBA team, which you guys will see in a later prediction of mine as we keep going through the episode. But I think Cade's going to be fantastic this year for the Pistons. I'm not worried at all from what I saw from him in the preseason. James Edwards of The Athletic put out a really good article interviewing Cade and talking about his struggles in preseason. And Cade really dove into how he was really taking a backseat and how if he can sacrifice shots or sacrifice some aggression in the preseason to help his teammates adjust better, to help his teammates come along quicker, to help them feel more comfortable, then he'll do that. He's more worried about leading the team, not worried about getting his points, whatever, in preseason. There was a lot more to it than just that, but I'm summarizing. I can't tell you guys the entire article. If you guys do have an Athletic subscription, I would go read that article right now. It was absolutely fantastic hearing what Cade had to say. So yeah, check that out. But basically, that was what he was saying. And I told you guys in the podcast that looked like what he was doing. He was giving a lot of touches to Jay and Ivy, a lot of touches to Sadiq Bay. He was playing off ball a ton in preseason. And I hope we don't see that in the regular season. I don't think we will. So I think once the season starts up officially on Wednesday, I told you guys in the last episode, you know what? This is what I'm talking about. As I start talking, I come up with new ones. We're going to double down on what we talked about last episode. So to go along with Cade being an all-star or borderline all-star this year, I'm going to double down and say Cade scores over 30 points or more in this opening game for all you guys who are talking crazy. For all you people out there, all you fans out there who are getting a little too wild, wilding out because of his preseason. He's going to drop 30 plus for y'all on Wednesday against Orlando. And everyone's going to be looking dumb. Either that or I'm going to be looking dumb now. You guys can be tweeting me this clip of me saying this, and he's going to have like 10 points. I hope you don't do that to me, Cade. Ashton, I know you listen to the podcast. I know you watch the episodes. You hear me saying this. You better tell Cade that I've made this prediction for everybody. Now, I've made this bold claim that he's going to be getting 30 plus opening night. If he doesn't, I'm going to have to be talking with you because I know you hear this. I know you're going to be watching this. So please don't let him disappoint me. Don't let him make me look dumb. Please. But anyways, yeah, I think Cade's going to be great this year, man. I think he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to step it up from outside. I don't think he's going to be some lights out shooter, but I definitely think he's going to be a better shooter than he was last year from start to finish. He was a much better shooter as the season started going on last year. So this year, I think with him coming in healthy, with him coming in with a full training camp, a full preseason, I think he's going to be much more consistent from outside and just shooting wise from start to finish. I expect him to be more efficient this season. I expect him to get even better around the basket. I expect to see his points per game rise. I expect to see his assists per game rise. I think his turnovers will probably either stay the same or go up because he's going to have that same type of usage. And we've talked about many times, I think Case is going to be one of those players who have high turnovers. I just think that's what it's going to be for his whole career. You just got to deal with it. So I think he's going to have a good year, though. I see a 21-7-6 kind of season for him this year. And maybe he even goes higher than that. He's added a lot of strength. Hopefully that draws a lot of fouls for him. He can fight through contact a little bit more. And hopefully refs respect him a little bit more this year and give him some foul calls, which he just wasn't getting last year. If he can get some of those, then we could possibly see him score 23, 24 points per game this year. Either way, I expect him to be a borderline all-star for the Detroit Pistons this year. I expect him to be absolutely fantastic and, again, make everybody who was freaking out during the preseason just look. You guys have to stop this, man. You guys got to stop. The overreactions. It's not just the Pistons fan base. It's the entire Detroit sports fan base. It's even with the Lions. Like, we saw the Hard Knocks stuff, and now everybody's tripping out thinking they were a Super Bowl contender when they don't have one starter on their defense. I know there's a Pistons podcast, but, like, you Detroit fans, you guys got to relax, man. You guys got to stop overreacting. You guys got to stop flipping out like at the snap of a finger. Calm down. Relax. Let things play out. Just take it easy. This is all right. You guys got to calm down, man. I'm telling you, you guys be stressing yourselves out for no reason way too early in seasons. Like, the Pistons season hasn't even started yet, and people are tripping, thinking Cade's about to show up and be a bum. Like, come on, bro. Come on. Y'all got to be better than this. We're better than that, man. Come on. But yeah, that's my prediction with Cade. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I know some of you guys might actually think that despite the Pistons' win-loss record and where they're at in the standings, you guys may think Cade secures an all-star bid nonetheless. Let me know in the comment section if you guys do think that, or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. When we come back, I'll give you guys some more predictions, my final predictions for the Pistons season. One of them includes where I think they will finish in the Eastern Conference. Stay tuned for that when we come back. But first, I got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the people to help your team faster and free. And it's incredibly easy to do so. You just add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. And it's important to finish this year strong. We're in October. We got 2 months left. Why don't you want to finish strong and select the right team member that will help you finish the year strong for your small business? It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs help you find the most qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Again, small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So make sure you head over to linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the podcast. Or you guys can leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I really appreciate all you guys who helped us get to 4,000 subscribers over the YouTube channel. That's just crazy, man. The podcast is growing so much. I seriously appreciate all of you guys since I've taken over. I've only been here now for a year and a half. I feel like I've gotten much better. I've grown. I've strived to get better as a host of this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it and have a lot of fun when you guys listen every morning, every night, whenever you guys listen. to the podcast. But man, we've grown like crazy. We've grown the podcast numbers, the amount of people who listen to the podcast on any podcast platform, while also making a whole new community on the YouTube. So it's crazy. We're blowing up with the fastest and quickest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. Continue to show that over and over. And I appreciate all of you guys who continue to support me, man. It's been absolutely amazing. I love doing this. But anyways, let's get back into my final predictions. This next one, and like I said, I have 7 written down. Like in the first segment, I ended up thinking of one as I was talking that goes along with it. But this next prediction is the Detroit Pistons. You guys are going to be mad at me for this one, man. The Detroit Pistons finished 13th or lower in the Eastern Conference. Listen, guys. Listen. Now, I will say this. I think after the preseason, some of you guys have calmed down. I think some of you guys saw some things happen in preseason and were like, oh, okay, that may not be what we thought was going to happen. I think you guys were like, okay. I see that this team may not be it. This team may not be what I thought it was going to be. But listen, in all seriousness, I'm going to name the teams I think will be better than the Pistons this year. You got Miami, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, Toronto, Chicago, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Cleveland, New York. That's 10. I think Washington will be better. I actually think Orlando would be better. I'm really high on Orlando. I love their wings. And I think Paolo, Franz, with the return of Jonathan Isaac possibly coming, Cole Anthony, another year with Jalen Suggs. I think I'm missing someone else on Orlando. I'm drawing a blank. But they have a really good young core that I really like over there, especially at their wings. So I think that Orlando is going to be better than the Pistons, which means the only teams that I think the Pistons are, I think the teams that are in the same tier as the Pistons, to be honest, are the Pistons, obviously, the Pacers, Wizards, and Hornets, because I think the Hornets are just spiraling down. They're just like losing it, man. They're out of pocket over there. Book Night, what are you doing, man? Like, they gotta have something happen over there in Charlotte. But those are the 4 teams. I think the Pistons will be better than 2 of them. I don't think they'll be better than all of them. And I think the Pistons finish either 13th, 14th, or 15th in the Eastern Conference. And listen, man, much like last year, I told you guys before the season, I thought that it was reasonably possible that each young player on the team could have a better season and they still not move much anywhere in the conference. Now, I don't think that happened. I don't think every player got better. I actually think a few players might have taken a few steps backwards or maybe a step backwards in some departments. So I don't think that happened last year. But my point remains. I think the Pistons could get better. I think the Pistons young players could see a major step forward. And the Pistons could go from 23 wins to 29, 30 wins. But guess what? If the Pistons had 30 wins instead of 23 wins last year, guess where they finished? They finished 13th in the Eastern Conference. Where they were last year at 23 wins to 12th is a 12-game difference. And the East got better. So do I think the Pistons are going to be 12, 13 games better this year? I do not. Do I think they'll be like 6, 7 games better? Yeah, I do. I think they'll be a little bit better. And I think that would be a good improvement to see. In other years in the Eastern Conference, that might get you 12th or something. But this year, that ain't getting you nothing. That's getting you 13th in the Eastern Conference. And that's why I think the Pistons are going to finish out. I'm sorry to burst all of your guys' bubble. If I am wrong, you guys can go ahead and bookmark, actually, this episode. Go ahead and bookmark it, download it, save it, whatever. And we can come back a few months, or not a few months, but basically the end of the season. And you guys can throw these right back at me and tell me everything I was wrong about and everything I was right about. This one right here, though, I actually feel pretty strongly about. I don't think the Pistons are going to be higher than 13th in the East. But let me know what you guys think the Pistons will finish in the East in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. All right. Now we're going to move into another player prediction. And I have a few of these. I think the rest of them, actually, no, I have 3 more player predictions and 1 more team prediction. This next player prediction that I have written down here concerns Isaiah Stewart. Now, I think you guys are going to hate me for this one too. I think this one is good. I'm actually, if he did this, I would be happy. I think that would be a success. I think my prediction will be that Stu shoots around 33, 34% from deep this year. Now, again, like I said, I believe that would be really good. Though talking with a lot of my listeners, engaging with a lot of you guys, and just seeing maybe people who don't even listen to the podcast, but engaging with Pistons fans, a lot of people think that Stu may be hovering around 36, 37%. I don't think he's going to do that. I think that would be an insane improvement to see from him. And that would put him as one of the best stretch bigs in the entire NBA. I don't see that happening in one offseason. I don't see that happening in one season. So I think he's going to hover around 33, 34%. I think that would be a big improvement, especially with him actually taking a lot of threes this year. Previously, he just never shot them and waited the last 2 weeks of the season. All of a sudden, he started shooting them. I think this year he's going to consistently shoot them from start to finish. He's going to shoot around 3-4 attempts a game. He's going to have some ups. He's going to have some downs. I think at the end of the year, you're going to see, or you're going to look back and be like, okay, he shot 33, 34% from the year. We can be happy with that. That was a major step forward. Hopefully next year he inches closer to 35, 36%, or maybe a little bit more attempts. So I think Stu takes the right step in the right direction from outside. I still think he struggles inside. I still think he'll struggle as a roll man, but I do think he'll take the step forward as a possible stretch big at this next level, or maybe just take this next step as a power forward instead of the center. I'm not a huge believer in power forward, but in order for him to even have a chance at it, one of the things he has to do is become a good shooter from outside. And if he takes this step, he will be taking another step towards being maybe not a center, but a power forward, a 4 for the Pistons, or maybe another team in the future, wherever. Throughout his career, he'll be a 4. So that's what I think Stu does this year. I think that would be fantastic for him this year. I know some of you guys have really much higher hopes for him, but I think that right there would still be a really successful season for Isaiah Stewart. That's my prediction for him this year. Next one. I feel like a lot of these actually, you know what? I'm just now seeing this. I think a lot of these you guys are not going to be like happy about. Like you guys are all going to be like, "Who? What's wrong with you? Why are you so mean?" But listen, man, I told you this is my final predictions, man. These are my final ones. There's no more me playing both sides or hovering in the middle, refusing to take a final stance. I'm taking a final stance here. So you guys have to really respect that, man. I know that a lot of you guys may be throwing tomatoes at me for it, but I'm going to do it anyways. My next prediction, Sadiq Bay. Sadiq Bay will hover around 40% from the field again. And this does not mean that he will not improve as an outside shooter. This does not mean that Sadiq eventually won't get back to where he was his rookie year on 38% from deep on around 7 attempts a game. I think he can do that, and I think he should and will do that. I don't think Sadiq will shoot 34% from deep again. I think that was a down year, and it was weighed down heavily by the first 21 games of the season. It was or the first 26 games of the season. Remember last year he was just so putrid in the first 26 games it destroyed his season averages really. In the final 56 games, he shot 36% on 8.1 attempts a game. So I think Sadiq will shoot fairly well from outside, if not straight up above average on a lot of attempts. I think he'll be a good shooter for the Pistons. However, I still think that he's going to struggle in all the other areas. Through 2 seasons in the NBA, his rookie year, he shot 40% from the field. Last year, he shot 39% from the field. His rookie season, he shot 45% from 2-point range. This past season, he shot 45.4% from 2-point range. I still think he's going to struggle in the 2-point range area. I don't think he's going to be too much of a better guy or too much of a better player, I should say, in the in-between area, in the mid-range, floater, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the stuff I saw from him in preseason, and again, I could be wrong, but a lot of the stuff he was doing looked the exact same as last year. He doesn't have a lot of lift, and I don't think that's something that's ever going to change. That's just the player he is. He doesn't have a lot of lift, and he takes a lot of bad shots. He takes a lot of tough shots. And on some nights, he's a really good bad shot maker. And in certain environments and certain situations, it's good to have that. You need some good bad shot makers on your team, maybe in the playoffs when it gets down to isolation kind of stuff. So on some nights, he is a good bad shot maker. But much more frequently, he's taking a lot of tough shots for himself that he really doesn't have a lot of chance of making, and it weighs down his overall field goal percentage, his efficiency, and his overall production. So I think that's something he's going to continue to struggle with this year. I do think he takes the next step forward again as an outside shooter. I don't think he's going to shoot 34%. I do think he'll be back around 38% this year from deep for the Pistons, around 7-8 attempts a game, which is incredibly valuable. That's insanely valuable. So I still think Sadiq will have a fine season. But as it comes to the adding stuff off the dribble, being an ISO player, all that stuff, I still think he's going to hover around 40% from the field. That's just my prediction with it. I don't think he's going to be much better at it this year. But if he is, I'll gladly be wrong. And around 40%, everybody. Don't come in here. Don't record this clip and then come back 6 months from now, 7 months from now with him shooting 42%. I was like, oh, Coop, he didn't shoot around 40%. Come on. Don't troll me now, okay? I'll put the cutoff at maybe like 43% will not be hovering around 40%. How about that? We'll put 40. If he hits 43%, I will have been wrong. If he shoots under 43%, I will have been right. We'll put it there because I already know how some of you guys will work. You guys like trolling me. You guys like getting me out there. You feel me? So I think he'll hover around 40%. I still think he'll have a productive season. I'm not saying he's going to have a bad season. But as far as just that area of doing all the other stuff with the ball in his hands outside of shooting threes, I think he's going to still have some struggles with that, especially when it comes to selection of his shot. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka I feel like after this segment, you guys went from being like, woo, like after the first segment, you guys were riding a roller coaster, chugga. And then like you guys got to the second segment and it was like, you guys are probably just throwing all kinds of tomatoes at me over on Twitter or on YouTube by the time you guys listen to this. But hey, it is what it is, man. These are my predictions, dog. It is what it is. I'm not going to apologize for it. When we come back, though, I have a crazy prediction. I don't think it's too crazy, to be honest. I don't think it's too crazy. You guys may think it's crazy about Killian Hayes. I'll tell you guys what that is when we come back. But first, you guys got to hear from some of our lovely sponsors. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or go to whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. Leave us a 5-star review. That's another great way to support the podcast. I would really appreciate it. All right, we got 3 more predictions here that I have for the upcoming season. I'm sure I have. You could bring up. Actually, I should have said this to begin with. I want to hear your guys' predictions. Any predictions that you guys have that I haven't named already, tweet at me at Kuka or comment down below in the YouTube section what your guys' predictions are for this season. I want to hear from you guys. Your guys' final predictions. I don't want to hear predictions a week from now, 3 days from now, a few hours after the game. No, I want to see them before we actually play a regular season game. Send me what you guys' predictions are, and we can look back on this. Actually, I'll bookmark this episode. I'll have it bookmarked for 7 months from now. I'll go back and I'll look at the YouTube section, and we'll see who was right, who was wrong, who was way off, and who was way right. We'll do that. So, again, make sure you guys send me your predictions. But this is my next one. Killian Hayes. Nope, I'm not saying 6th man of the year. I'm not saying most improved. I'm not saying any of that. I think Killian Hayes will be a top 5 most impactful player for the Detroit Pistons this year. Yep. I'm saying it. I think he'll be top 5 most impactful player, man. And I don't think it's too crazy. So when I initially said it, the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, okay, what's my prediction for Killian this year? What's the way I can do this? I was like, okay, he'll be a top 5 impactful player. They're going to go crazy over that. That's going to be insane. But then I went back. I was like, okay, so who would he have to be over? That would be like insane for him to be over. Well, so Cade Cunningham, no, he's not going to be over Cade. I think a lot of you guys would probably say Jay Ivey will be more impactful. That's 2. Sadiq Bay, 3. Isaiah Stewart, 4. You guys would probably say Sue. And then after that, it's Killian Hayes. It's going to be Killian Hayes after that. Heck, you know what? I almost want to get a little bit too bold and say that he would be even higher than 5th. But I want to give myself some cushion and say he would just simply be a top 5 most impactful player for the Pistons this year. Listen, he's already the Pistons' best perimeter defender. He's probably their best passer. Actually, not probably. He is their best passer. And with the improved aggressiveness that we've seen from him in preseason that I hope and I believe will carry out through the entire season, I think you'll see a much better scoring Killian Hayes. And I've said this multiple times on the podcast. If you get any type of scoring from Killian Hayes to combine with his defense and his playmaking ability, that instantly becomes an insanely valuable player that you want on your team. The only thing holding Killian Hayes back from being that valuable is being any kind of scorer, any kind of shooter. If he's able to do that, he's going to be insanely valuable to this team, and I don't think he leaves. I don't think the Pistons let him walk or trade him or anything. If he's able to do that, they'll probably want to keep him long term. And I hope he's able to do that this year. In order for him to do that, I guess I could just throw out some bold predictions on his percentages from the field. I think he also shoots around 40% from the not the free throw line. I hope not 40% from the free throw line. 40% from the field goal. 40% from the field. My goodness, why did it take me so long to say that? Around 40%, not under 40%. It has to be above 40%, but around 40, 41, 42, somewhere around there, which I think would be a really good improvement. And then from three-point land, somewhere around 32% or higher. So 32, 33, 34, somewhere around there. That would be insanely – that would be a really good improvement for Killian Hayes, who shot 38% from field last year and 26% from deep last year. If he took big steps like that in both areas while maintaining his ability to be a playmaker and as a defender for this team, which I hope, by the way, he shot bad from the free throw line. He's always been a good free throw shooter. He's had limited attempts in the NBA, but if you go back and track his career, he's been a really good free throw shooter. I don't expect him to shoot that. It was crazy seeing him miss that many free throws. You can tell that he's a little bit uncomfortable with his new form at the free throw line. Hopefully he gets that worked out. Because again, like I said, he's never been a bad free throw shooter. And especially if he's being more aggressive, he's going to draw more free throws. So I hope this new form doesn't impact him at the free throw line because he really will benefit from that. But yeah, I think he'll be a top 5 most impactful player for the Pistons this year. You guys are probably all out of tomatoes. You guys can throw whatever else you guys have at me at this point. All right, next prediction as we wrap up the podcast. This one's the next team prediction. I think the Pistons are going to finish as a bottom 10 3-point shooting team and defensive team. And I think that's what's going to hold them back from being a much better team and being higher than 13th in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they're going to be a much better 3-point shooting team. I don't see it. I think they'll have slight improvements across the board, but I don't think it's going to be dramatically enough for them to really launch themselves into the top half of the league in 3-point shooting. I think Jaden Ivey will be inconsistent from that area. I think Stu, like I said, will shoot around 33%. I think Killian will shoot around 32, 33%, somewhere around there. Sadiq, I think, will take a step forward. I think Cade will be a little bit better from outside. And they did add Alec Burks, so maybe Alec Burks does a really good job with raising that. And they added, obviously, Bojan Bogdanovic. So do I think the Pistons will be better 3-point shooting team than they were last year? Yes. But do I still think that they're still going to struggle overall as a team from that area? Yes. I still don't think they're going to be that great from outside. I think that combined with their defense, I think more importantly, even worse than their 3-point shooting, I think they'll be an awful defensive team. Awful. So just to give some more context on their 3-point shooting, last year they shot 32% as a team. That was second to last in the NBA. I could see them getting up to around 34%. But 11th in the NBA, or if you want to get outside or above the top 10 or bottom 10 in the league, according to last year, you have to shoot at least 35%. So I think that they'll shoot around 34%, but I don't think they're going to get themselves out of the bottom 10. You'll see a slight improvement, but not too much. And then defensively, man, we talked about this on the last 3 episodes. I think they're just going to be a really bad defensive team. They don't have too many good defenders on the team. I think if you just looked across the NBA, the Pistons really only have 3+ NBA defenders on their team. Not just for their age, not just for a rookie or second-year guy, blah, blah. He is a plus NBA defender on any team he would play on. I think they only really have 3, maybe. If you squint your eyes enough, maybe 4. And I don't believe in the scheme that they're running. If they continue to run the switch everything scheme, I don't think they're going to be a good defensive team. I don't think they're going to be that great of a 3-point shooting team either. So I think that that's what's going to hold them back from being higher than 13th in the Eastern Conference. And then to wrap up the podcast officially with the final prediction I have for this podcast for the Pistons upcoming season, this one I think actually might be the most bold one on the list. I think this one might be the boldest one I have. And that's Kevin Knox secures a consistent rotation spot. Not he gets a few minutes every now and then. Every 2 weeks he gets his 15 minutes, a chance, whatever. I think that he is going to earn a consistent rotation spot. And this is why. At his size and his length and his athleticism, if he's able to shoot really good from outside, if he's able to channel the good seasons he's had in the NBA when he's shooting from outside, he's been up and down season to season from outside. He's had seasons when he's been really good from outside, and then seasons where he's just been way too inconsistent from outside. I liked what I saw from him a lot in that one preseason game. It was one preseason game, I know, but I really liked what I saw from him in that game. And I think if the Pistons need wings, and if Kevin Knox at his size is able to hit outside shots at a high rate, there's zero chance you can keep him on the bench because that's what the Pistons need. There's zero way you can keep him on the bench. Zero. Because he'll be one of the only players outside maybe Sadiq and Isaiah Livers at that size. And then if you combine athleticism with it, he may be the only guy who would be able to hit outside shots with that kind of athleticism to really do stuff in transition to off ball. Get to the or cut to the lane and finish with a highlight dunk or whatever. I think he's one of the only guys, if not the only guy in the team to do it. So it all comes down to, we've said this multiple times with him, it all comes down to simple as this. Either you're hitting outside shots or you're not. If he's hitting outside shots, he's going to consistently play. I don't think you can sit him at all. I think he'll be a viable player for the team if he can hit outside shots. If he doesn't hit outside shots, he doesn't play at all. None of that other stuff matters. That what his calling card, it has to be, is outside shooting. If he can do that, he'll be our consistent rotation player, and I do think he's going to this year. I think that might actually be the most bold claim I've made in this episode. So let me know what you guys think about all the predictions that I made, and also let me know your guys' predictions for this season in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I'm going to see you guys in the next podcast, man. Thank you guys for making this podcast your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button at the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. And until the next episode, I will see you guys later. Stay safe and go Pistons. Peace out, everybody.